Banjo Land, Mike Hedding here, coming to you today with another lick lesson. This time we're going to do 10 licks in the key of D. Banjo players are always looking for more licks in the key of D, and these ones are all going to work out of standard G tuning, and they're going to work as kind of the 5 chord for D in the key of G, so like a G, D, G progression, so a 1, 5, 1, and they'll also work in the key of D, where D is the 1 chord. So I wanted to do some licks that you could use in a bunch of different situations, so that's why I came up with these 10 licks. The first 5 licks are going to be 1 measure, the licks 6 through 10 are going to be 2 measures long, and we're going to do some different styles. We're going to do some scrug style licks, some single string licks, and some melodic licks. So we'll have a little bit of stuff for everyone. I'm going to break down all 10 licks note for note and then show you kind of why the licks work and just some of my thoughts about the licks and how you can use them. And if you're watching the preview of this lesson, you can head over to my website, MikeHeddingMusic.com, and grab the full lesson. You'll get access to watch all the videos, and you can download the tabs and the practice tracks. Alright, here's 10 licks in the key of D. Alright, let's start breaking down these 10 licks in the key of D. So the first 5 licks are going to be 1 measure long, and then followed by a fill measure, and then licks 6 through 10 are going to be 2 measures long. And I wanted to do basically a variety of styles of licks. So we're going to do some more in kind of scrug style, we're going to do some melodic style licks, and we're going to do some single string licks. I also wanted to do some that were more bluesy and some that were not as bluesy. And lastly, I wanted to do licks that worked in both a lot of situations where you're going to use a D chord. So 2 common situations you're going to use a D chord is as the 5 chord in the key of G. So you might, you know, as like an ending phrase to a song in G might be G, D, G. So that the D in that case is called the 5 chord. We won't get into that in this lesson, but basically I wanted licks in D that would work in that situation. But another situation where you might use licks in D is not in the key of G, but in the key of D. So in that situation, the D is the 1 chord, and the licks will also work in both those situations, because there's certain licks that work better as like a 5 chord lick in the key of G. For example, something like this. Like that would work great as a key of, or a D lick in the key of G, but that if you were in the key of D, playing D, G, and A lick like that wouldn't work quite as well. So we won't get too much into that in this lesson, but just remember that I wanted to do licks that would work in both. So in this lesson, these licks can be used in the key of G as the 5 chord D, and they can be used in the key of D as 1 chord licks, okay? So let's start with the first lick, and it's pretty easy. And again, we're going to do a 1 measure lick followed by a fill measure, and the fill measure is just going to be hitting either the open 4th string or the open 1st string, just a D note, and then doing 2 forward rolls. So 3, 2, 1 on my strings, T-I-M, and I'm going to use fingers 2 and 3. You could use 1 and 3, 1 and 2, it doesn't really matter the fingers. Again, we just wanted a lick and then a fill measure of roll, and then a lick and a fill measure of roll, or in licks 6 through 10, 2 measure lick and then 1 measure of fill. So that's how all these licks are going to be set up. Okay, let's play lick number 1, then we'll start breaking it down. Here we go. So I started with a pretty easy lick. We're going to hit the open 4th string, and then slide from 3 to 4 with our 3rd finger on the 4th string, and then a backwards roll, 1st string, put your 1st finger on the 2nd fret of the 3rd string, and then another roll, or slide, excuse me, another slide, and then hit your 1st finger. So you have do just the right hand. The right hand's pretty easy. So just don't slide too quick. That's really the only tricky part. You could actually have your 1st finger down to start it too. And what we're doing there, let's break down why this lick sounds cool. So that 4th fret on the 4th string is the 3rd note of the D chord, so it's the F sharp. And what we're doing is we're sliding into that 3rd. So again, if you have the 4th fret, you have like a happy D. If you have the 3rd fret, you have like a minor. Do you hear that? So you got kind of happy or spooky or sad. So what we're doing, it's very common, is we're sliding into that note. And then again, we're just rolling around it. And then sliding again. And then our fill lick. So this is definitely more of like a Scruggs style lick. It's almost kind of similar to something like that. We're just doing it now in D. That could be used again as a lead lick or a backup lick. It's kind of like a fill lick. So practice that. Let's go on to lick number 2. Let me play lick number 2 and then I'll break it down. This is kind of more of the bluesy variety. This is almost like a D minor or D7 style lick, but we're playing it over a major chord. Again, very common in bluegrass. Bluegrass has a lot of elements of blues. Very common in bluegrass is playing minor sound or bluesy sounding licks over happy major sounding chords. Again, a lot of times they do that in bluegrass with the lyrics as well. Happy sounding chords with really dark lyrics. Your banjo can kind of mimic that bluegrass style here. So what we're going to do is we're going to work out of this D7 shape, and I'm going to do an open 2 hammer-on the 3rd string, and then pinch strings 2 and 1 with my 1st fret down. So that's like again like a D7. You could also do that more with like a roll. Either way, I like the pinch. The pinch kind of adds a little rhythm to it. And then we're going to do a little cool move. Quick move your 1st finger to the 1st fret 2nd string. Do a 1 open pull off. And then down to the 3rd fret 4th string. And then do thumb middle again. So you have... So the whole lick is really good wrist angle practice. You can't be back too much like this. You have to be out enough to move your hand. You need all that 1st string to be able to ring out. If you're back too much like this, it's not going to work. I like pulling back toward my palm. You could try pushing as well, but I feel like it's easier if you pull back towards your palm. It kind of pulls your hand a little bit out of the way to get that 1st string to ring. Whereas if you push, you're pushing your hand up toward the 1st string, which means it's more likely to mute it. At least for me, I find if I pull my hand away, then I can get that 1st string to ring out. Just practice it. Just make it work for your hand. The other thing I do is after I do that initial hammer-on pinch, I kind of turn my hand a little bit more than I normally would. You could also maybe do that with your pinky if you needed to. That might help you get a little more flexibility there. So let's break down why that sounds cool. So that's the bluesy note of the D chord. It's the flat 5 or the sharp 4, a lot of times called the blue note. So we're pulling that off. You could also slide up from the 1st fret to the 2nd fret. Kind of like in Reuben's Train or something like that, if you've heard that song. But that's the person I associate with that lick, it's not a banjo lick, it's a Tony Rice, the guitar player, would use... He would do that, or right here in G. That kind of style lick. Pulling off on that blue note. It sounds really cool, I think. So again, that's what we're doing there. And then we have our fill lick again. Alright, let's play lick 2 a few more times. Here we go. you could also use that kind of going back to a G chord. The only thing you'd want to do is take out the fill measure of D and make it a fill measure of G. Something like that. All right, let's break down lick number 3. This is kind of a melodic style lick. Let me play it and then we'll break it down. Okay, so we're going to take that same idea of the sliding into the thirds that we used in lick number 1, except this time we're going to play it melodically. So we're going to find each of those notes on a different string. So instead of playing the 4th fret and the 3rd fret, we're gonna find that second note on the 2nd string, which is the 6th fret. So the first 2 notes really just set up the lick. We're gonna hit the open 4th string and then the open 1st string. That really just gives you your hand time to get up and get into position. So we have, and then we're gonna play, so again that'd be 4, 3, open, but we're playing it melodically, so we're finding this note on a different string. And then right here we're going to use the 5th fret's 3rd string, which is a C note, and then open 1st string. And this time the fill lick starts with the open 1st string rather than the low 4th string. It just fits the lick a little better. So you have, that's a cool idea you can think about again, is finding 2 notes that would normally, so if you're going to do it like single string style, you would go, that's trickier and it doesn't have that flow of a banjo. So we're finding all the notes on different strings. Even just practicing that little lick might be fun. Something like that. Again, I think understanding why the lick sounds cool is almost as important as playing the lick. We're playing with that major and minor 3rd. Okay, so that's what we're doing there. So not too hard. That'd be a good like backup lick or just a little fill lick as well. Let's look at lick number 4. This is a kind of a fun one. Let me play it and then I'll break it down. This lick's a little harder to do at a fast tempo, but at kind of a slow bluesy tempo. I think it sounds really cool. I kind of think of this as like a Ron Block style lick. He does a lot of these kind of cool funky bends that I think sound really cool on like a slow, I kind of think of a Alison Krauss kind of slow bluesy song. These style of licks would work really good. So we're going to play with that 3rd. We're going to do 3 open on the low string to start the lick. You could use your thumb of your right hand twice. I'm going to use my thumb and index finger though. You can also do that as a pull-off if you wanted to. And then I'm going to slide up from 5 to 7 on the 4th string. And then, so I'm going to use my 3rd finger on the 7th fret, 1st finger on the 5th fret. So I'm going to slide into that. So T-I-N there, 4, 3, 1 are my strings. And then your thumb's going to hit the 3rd string. And then your 2nd finger is going to bend the 6th fret of the 2nd string. Again, that 3rd, we're going to bend it up. And then hit the open 1st string. So you have, give that bend some attitude. Yeah, you could do it with a pull-off to start it too. So you're basically kind of working from this D up to this. It's kind of like your D bar chord, but you're kind of playing it with like a minor version. Kind of similar down here how you play it. We're just finding those notes on different strings. I also really like that slide is something you could check out, is again using this slide to get you up into this shape. You can try sliding back down too. You don't have to slide from 5. You could also slide from 3. Just give that bend some attitude as well. So I'm bending it up and then coming back down.